So start the recording, let's go. Today, important lecture with regards to the assignment and the final exam. So we're gonna start from the beginning, the whole process, database creation, and then interactivity with standalone application, C# standalone application. So we're going to record this so you have it as a reference. You can watch it back. Please make sure to refer to it if you have any questions, especially the rules that I'm going to be pointing out about best and correct practices. Number one, I will start with the assignment. The description at the bottom says that you should email your submission to me, to the instructor. This is changed. That's it. So I'm going to, I have already, I believe, the submission box is published in week 12. There you are. So you're not going to email me anything. Blackboard accepts zip files that include execution files, so the .exe. Since you have been uploading every week, we know that that's not going to be a problem. Moodle had that problem. So you are expected to upload here your assignment submission, including all this. Let's see, one, fine, include this. You could upload it on the platform here, or if it's too big, specifically I'm talking about the video. Sometimes the video you elaborate too much. All of these you can upload it on the shared space, all of it, and just submit the link. That's it. So either you submit one zip with all of this, or you upload it in a shared space and you submit only the link. I will update this description to state exactly what I have explained right now. Now, the first part, we already covered it in the first part of the course with regards to the checklist. The second one is the one that's going to be taking the most of the points. Therefore, we're going to repeat this today. We already had a tutorial last week. We're going to repeat it. And after today, you should be able to complete the assignment, complete the checklist, and so on and so forth. Right, let's do it. Number one, we start with Management Studio. I'm assuming you have downloaded the SQL Server Express. If not, if anybody is watching and you have not downloaded yet the server and Management Studio, number one, shame on you. Shame on you. Number two, you'll find the links in week one. No, we're there. So that's number one, this one, and then this one. Once you finish the installation of the Express version edition, it will actually suggest to you to download and install Management Studio. So you can find the link to this one when you complete the first one. Last week, we created an example of EUC with 3 tables. We're going to repeat the same thing with a different scenario. Today, we're going to have a coffee shop. So, assuming you are connected, you click connect there, and right click on databases, new database, and we're going to call it coffee shop. Coffee underscore shop. And a laptop, because I already have one, it is the same one, a laptop. Let's change it to coffee store. Because I already have it there, it will complain, so I change it to coffee store. If you use coffee shop in your code today, make sure to use the correct, but follow me, coffee store. You click OK, you do not click Add, and the database is created. One is created, you need to create the tables. So you go straight to tables. You will see nothing here. You do not mess any of the existing folders. You just right click on tables, new table. You're going to have to do this for the exam. You're going to have to do this for the assignment. Assignment, you decide and you submit your design. For the exam, I decide and I give you the design and you reverse engineer it. So we're having a tutorial with 3 tables. Last year, the exam was 5 tables. So we get the table opened up in design mode. It is not shown here yet. What is that? Oh, no, right click on tables, resting new table.
How many, when we create a new database, how many rows and list or just leave as this?
No, we will define it now. We haven't started. You just created the database.
Yeah, when we create the database, there's like initial size.
Just click OK. Yeah, just click OK. That's the metadata. Yeah. That's the log. By the way, tomorrow, remind me to show you the same thing, how to export with NetBeans. We forgot last Friday.
Yeah.
Let's see. I have it.
Export the database with the items inside it. Or just the schema?
The schema and the data in NetBeans. We will show it here at 4251. Let's see. Okay. Yeah. Khalil, you understood. Right, number 1, we're going to create a table for customers. So we're going to have an ID. It's going to be the primary key, and we're going to assign it as a numeric. Now, 18 means 18 numbers in length. So if the scenario states that the customers can go up to 1,000, not including 1,000, what should be the first number indicating? If we say 4, it will accept 9999. So if we say up to 1,000, not including 1,000, it should be 3.0. So it will accept the maximum number of length 3. What is the maximum number of length 3? 999. So it starts from 0 up to 999. That's it. If we want to set a restriction to only accept 3-digit numbers, it's a different thing. Now we're saying up to 3 of length. So 999. We will not accept 1,000.
And what does that mean?
Numeric. So that's number. And because we have the decimal point set to 0, that means integers. We will use the decimal point later on, so I'm going to continue now. Definitely, we do not accept nulls when we have a primary key. Even if you don't change it and you right-click on the column and say set primary key, it will take away the null. Now, the next thing is that we should assign it as an auto-increment primary key. You don't have to, but it makes your life much easier. So you select it. Just by clicking on the row, you come here on the column properties and you find the identity specification. It's over here. You drop it down, is identity, you switch it to yes, and then you define what should be the increment and the seed. So if I have it 1, 1, that means it will start from 1 and increase by 1 every time there is a new record. If I set it to 100 and I say increase by 10, that means the first record will be 100 and then 110, 120, 130, and so on, so forth. So usually we start from 1 and we go +1. Be careful in the exam if I add something else. But store, you see, when there is the star, it means it needs to be saved. So if we save it now by clicking the floppy disk there, it will say what's the name of the table, and we're going to be using customers. Once you write it and click OK, you should see it here. If not, right-click on tables and say refresh, and it will appear there. Let's continue. Customers have name. So names are characters, and we are using varchar. We select the one that has a set of characters to be defined, not the maximum. I think maximum is 255. So how about the name, name and surname? What should we be accepting? How many characters? Well, the biggest name that I have heard is Christoforos Papa Christoforou.
Arabic name. No. Okay, German.
So I don't know, 50, it may be a lot. You need to choose carefully so you don't lose, for example, Anna Maria Papa Christoforou. Sometimes they have double names or triple names. I don't know. They don't want to. They want to use both grandmother's or grandfather's names, so they put both of them. I actually had a student, Dimitris Panayotis. Dimitris Panayotis. So I was calling him Delta B. Just the initials. So just leave 50 here. Allow now should be not allowed. And finally, a birthday, which is a date. So we're going to use the date data type. Now, the ones that I'm showing you, the data types, are compulsory for the exam. They are compulsory for the assignment. There are other data types. So if you use any of the other ones, it is considered as a bonus. But first, you use the ones that I want you to use, and then you add the bonus. Rule for the assignment in general, you follow the checklist, and then you add the bonuses. Like, see? So I don't want you, for example, to say, I'm not going to have any text boxes, but I will use, I don't know, panels. Good. I will take away 10 points here. I will give you 10 points bonus for the panel, so equal to 0. All right. You need to complete the checklist, and then if you want, you use bonus extra things. You can get 100 just by following the list. This is what I'm examining you. Let's go back. So date is optional. Somebody may don't want to reveal their birthday, so we're going to leave it allow not, just for the scenario. In reality, they have to say when they were born, because at the university or at the coffee store, we only accept adults, not minors. So asterisk, so we need to save. This is done. Let's go and enter a couple of customers. We right click on the table, say edit top 200 rows, and we open up the table in data entry mode. ID, even if you want to, you cannot write something in. So it's only the name and the birthday. So we have Pelopidas. It's a common Greek name, Pelopidas. And for the birthday, there is a way to add it. It has to be in the reverse. So first the year, 1990, dash March, so 03, dash 25. Now notice once I click enter, it will fix it. Right now, because I entered it in the correct mode, it kept it. Look what will happen once we add the second one. Second one is Gynthia. It's another common name in Greek. And Gynthia was born in 1995. Use the dash, the slash now, the slash. October slash on the 30th. And look, now it's going to fix it to use the dashes. And another one, Artaxerxes. Yeah, it's a common name, it's a common name. And Artaxerxes was born in 1985, but let's go the other way. 15, which is the day, slash 12, which is the month, slash 1985. Once I click enter, bam, it corrects it. So it proves that SQL Server expects it in the reverse, year, month, date. But anyway you enter it, it will fix it for you. 1, 2, 3 is auto increment. We don't need to save every time you click enter, it's committing the record. It's a database operation, commits it. Therefore, we are done. Grigori, if it doesn't fix it, maybe it's because you are in location USA. Therefore, you need to reverse the day and the month. Εντάξει, so βάλ' το πρώτα το 30 and then the 10th. That may be the mistake. Otherwise, you keep it in reverse. Now, right-click on tables, new table, and the second one will be our coffees. As always, we will have an ID. The data type will be once again numeric. And now, how many coffees do we have on the menu? Like different, when we offer a menu to the customer, how many coffees can you count? 50, 60 options, 70. Can we say 2.0 is a good selection?
Yeah.
See, now if somebody says 18.0, you will lose marks in the assignment. So whatever your scenario is, you need to change it accordingly because you are reserving space in the database that you're never gonna use. Right-click on the row, set primary key, bam, you see the key there. Allow nulls, it's been removed. Let's set it to auto increment once again. So we're gonna go to identity specification. Is identity say yes? And 1, we will keep it as such. If you don't add it as auto increment, that's okay by me, but then when you have the application, you actually need to have a field for the ID. Doesn't make sense unless it's civil ID. So when you come to AUC, they're asking, can I see your ID? That's a number. So that we do need to enter it manually. Number 2, the name of the coffee, which is going to be varchar once again. And I don't know what's the highest that you have heard. Freddo cappuccino. What is the highest? I would say, yeah, about 20 characters. Let's say 30, maybe we invent a new coffee and we need more. It cannot be now. And also the price. So price, it is numeric, but it is decimal points. So I believe there is only one answer here. You cannot have a different answer with regards to the price of a coffee. Who wants to try? How many digits and how many of them should be decimal points? 2.2, that means we are going to have 0.99. That means if there is a coffee 150, will not be able to charge it. It's not 2.2, it's what?
1?
No. Have you seen a coffee, Khalil, 10 euros? No.
Irish, maybe you don't have that.
Maybe, yeah. Andrea, okay, for that, what is little agave? Anyway, so anybody, the answer, what is it? So I need, like, how much is a coffee? 2 point something, 4 point something. So how many digits in total? 3, comma, of which 2. Bravo, that's the answer, 3.2. So in total, 3 of them. 2 of them should be in decimal points. You should be expecting this in the exam, that there's a certain answer. I'm not gonna, I will tell you which one it is. I mean, I will describe it. Take away the null, and we're not gonna add anything else. Click the floppy, and that's coffees. We need to refresh the tables there so we can see. There it is. We right click on it and say edit top 200 rows so we can add our coffees. So let's start with the first one, Frappe. Johan, have you tried the Frappe yet?
Yeah.
On McDonald's, no, go to a coffee shop and say, I want a frappe. It's a Greek coffee, but we drink it in Cyprus as well. And how much is €2? So look at that. When I type 2, enter, it will fix it to 3 digits, 2 of them being Khalid. Have you tried it? Number 2, we have iced latte. And I think it's, I don't know, 250. Then we have my favorite, Freddo Cappuccino. What happened there? We exceeded the 30 characters. No, I have it. And I think just wants the price. So Freddo Cappuccino is 225, and let's add Freddo Espresso, my second favorite, and it's cheaper, 175. Now, if I tried to say 1775, it would stop. So we say 3 digits, 2 of each are decimal points. So 1.75, it will accept it. Every time you fail adding the record, as I have done, the ID keeps incrementing. That's not a problem. It will be a problem if you show it to the customer, then you will confuse them. You will lose points if you show the primary key on the application. Why does the customer care? Unless the user is the admin, then maybe you want to show the primary key. But as long as they have a value, what that value is. Now, last one. Coffees and customers, they are independent tables. When do we have a customer connecting, if I can say, with a coffee? That's when the customer purchases a coffee, right? So we need to record the purchases. Let's say orders. So right-click on tables, new table, and we're gonna create one that will be the connecting table. You need to prepare the infrastructure, the ground in the design, so that the relationship is established later on. So anybody that completed relational databases, what do we need in order for 2 tables to be connected? We need primary key of one table to be mentioned. What do we call it? Foreign key. So you need to add 2 foreign keys. One that will be connected with the primary key of customers, and one that will be connected with the primary key of coffees. Before we do that, we need, of course, a primary key. And what should be an accurate value here? That's the orders. A lot of them, huh? A lot of them. So we're going to start with 10. And if we have more than, like if you said 9, you're talking about 1 million. Is it? Yeah. No, it's billion. 9 figures, isn't it? 1 million is 6 figures. No. 7 is 1 million, isn't it?
Yes, 1 million.
1 million is 7. So if we say 10, it's billion. Yeah? 1 and 9 zeros. So after 1 billion of orders, we can come and update it. By the way, we're going to have a problem in the database anyway. So we're going to need to back it up and just restart the orders in 2022, for example. That's a discussion for your database course. I hope you had it. Right click, set primary key, and let's do something different. Let's go for identity specification. We will set it to yes. And let's say the question says it should start from 5, and every time it will start from 10, and every time should increase by 5. So what are the values that I need to add there? Very good, and increment 5. Do not lose these points in the exam. Assignment, you can do whatever you want, I don't care. It's not something I will be looking for, but exam, I will be paying attention. Assignments in general, you do whatever you want, as long as you satisfy the checklist. Exams, you have to reverse engineer it, so it has to be accurate. It's like, I'm the customer, I'm coming to you, I want this. The architect says, this is the house, Mr. Builder, build it for me. You cannot go around it. You have to follow exactly the plan. All right.
Speaking from experience, Cypriot builders do it like it is in
It's Ivan, it's recorded. We have nothing against Cypriot builders. Actually, I covered it. Come on, Ivan, this is official now. We love Cypriot builders. So let's go for the foreign keys now. Rule for foreign key is that it must be the same type as the primary key. Not necessarily the same name, but it must be the same type. So if we go to customer ID, that's my name of the foreign key, here you don't get to do whatever you want. You have to go to the design of customers, right-click design, see that we have assigned for the primary key numeric 3.0, come back and say numeric 3.0. As you are aware, foreign keys may be null. You are allowed to have null foreign keys, but once you have a foreign key, it must match a value in the primary key. Just to be accurate, because it's recorded, it doesn't have to be exactly the same. It can be exactly the same or something greater than, not a subset of the primary key. So if I say 5, no, the other way around. The foreign key must be a subset. So I can say, for example, 2.0, because that will cover all the cases in the ID. If you accept 3.0 and I have 2.0, that means I will have, by default, all values valid in the foreign key. Now, coffee ID. That's my foreign key for coffees. I have to go to my coffees table. It's numeric 2.0, so I have to change it to numeric 2.0. Let's take away the nulls. We're not going to allow empty values here. And the connecting table can have more than the foreign keys and the primary key. So let's also have a request. So the customer may want to say an additional request for their coffee. So let's say 50 characters, and it's optional. They may or may not have a request. We click on that, and that is orders. I would like to point out once again, we haven't connected the tables yet. We have prepared them for connection. I'm just going to refresh here so it appears, but we haven't created the connection yet. A good thing, a good practice is to connect them now before you enter the data. Now, nobody's stopping me from going to orders and saying, customer number 7, order coffee number 25. Nobody will stop me, as long as I satisfy the criteria there. We want Management Studio to stop us from entering illegal values. So we need to connect the tables with the orders. This is a very, very important procedure to not mess it up. This is where students mess it up. So follow me. You need to have the connecting table open in design mode. The connecting table is orders. This is the design mode. You will see there table designer. If you click on it, you will see relationships, the fourth option. If there is any other view, you will not see the relationships. You will see query designer. You will not see table designer. And you have to have the connecting table open, because you will see why. It will help you out not making a mistake. No relationships right now. We click add, and you go here, tables and column specifications. You click in the empty field, and instead of writing them, we're going to do it automatically. Click the browse button there, and this is the reason I'm telling you to have this open first. So on the right hand side, It is the foreign key table. If you don't have it open, this will show a different table, and you're gonna need to correct it, and it's a mistake. So over here, we're gonna drop it down. Primary table is gonna be customers. You click on the empty box there, you drop it down. Which attribute do I need to select? It's the primary key table. So the primary key. Connecting with which attribute of the foreign key table? So if you've done your job correctly, you have prepared the ground. And if these two match data types, once I click OK, it will not complain. If it complains, that means you messed it up. Click OK. Click Add. We need one more with the coffees. You click on the empty tables and column specification, empty box, click the browse button, drop this down, go to coffees, and what do I add there? ID. What do I add in the orders table? That's it. Click OK. If you haven't messed the data types, it will not complain. Actually, now it's going to complain. Click Close once you save it. If you messed it up, you will get an error. It's a warning. It says, what you have done, it affects 3 tables. Do you want to continue? We click yes. And this is where it will complain if you haven't done it correctly. That means it's correct. The proof is in the diagram. Right-click the diagram, database diagram, new database diagram, say yes on this window, add the 3 tables, and you should see that they are connected.
This was outside the bounds of the array.
That's a problem that Andreas mentioned. Close Visual Management Studio and open it again. Then I need to clear the cache. Don't worry, your work will not be lost. Anyway, the diagram, it's exported. So this diagram, by the way, you need to submit it in the checklist here. All right, so you take a screenshot. You can use, for example, the snipping tool or traditional paint. There you are. And I'm going to save it. Κάμαμε νέο diagram. Ναι, just a minute, go to ξαναδείξω. You go here, you insert, new picture, you find it from desktop, bam, it's been added. That's it, I need this. And this will be given to you in the exam. So from this, you need to go and design the tables. This, and of course, some words to explain the data types here that are not shown. What should we do? Yeah, I think so. But yes, watch that all 3 tables in. Okay, shortcut, Grigoris, thank you very much. This is for what? Yeah, the snipping tool. Now, as you may know, paint will be discontinued. We will not have paint anymore. No, no. Come on, it's traditional.
Yes, and actually, I think for my PC.
So Constantinos said that he's very happy with Windows 11. Oh, so I'm just raising fires here, shutting down fires. They are listening. They are listening. We love Bill Gates.
Yeah.
Right, now let's go and add some, the diagram, let's save it. Just say diagram 1. Although it's not important, the diagram. We go to the orders. I already have them open command operator, right click and say edit top 200, so you will open them up. All right, so the exam will say customer Pelopidas, so I will refer to them by name. I'm not going to give you their IDs. You go and find them. Has ordered a frappe and has added the request half. So what is the customer ID of Pelopidas? 1. You write 1, I'm going to write 10, just to see that it's going to stop me. What is the frappe coffee ID? 1. And request half. 1, it stops me. Foreign key constraint you violated, it says. Το 10. That means the relationship was not set correctly. That's. Just add 1 there. Κάμε τα σωστά εδώ, there.
Can I go off for a second?
Yeah, sure. Now, we have Pelopidas also ordered a latte. So he got 2 copies, a frappe and a nice latte. So what should we add here? 1, 2, and the no sugar was the request. So Cynthia ordered an iced latte and a freddo cappuccino. What should we add here? Iced latte is 2, no request, and then 2, and she ordered, and we said number 3, it's freddo cappuccino, and she requested freddo cappuccino to be sweet. So you can see that. And what are we doing? It's mine is number 5. Exactly. That's why I got the error exactly there. It stopped me. So mine is number 5. So if yours is something, if it's 3, use 3. I got 5 because I demonstrated failed queries. So I have to add 5 there. There you are. It went through. Ahora so shots were fired. Shots were fired. And we have Artaxerxes has ordered freddo cappuccino and a freddo espresso. So it should be 3. Ordering a freddo cappuccino, that's number 5, and it's with extra milk. And also Artaxerxes has ordered the last coffee freddo espresso, which is number 7 for me. Use your own IDs, huh? And the request was nothing. For the assignment, you can add some static data. Don't give it empty to me, huh? And of course, there should be an interface in the application, so I can add new if I want to, but don't give it empty. I want, when I perform select, I want to see some example of orders, and then update, delete, and insert, it's optional. You just change my battery because it's running out. Right, so that's, you don't need to save. I can see the out there, but I don't think it has to do with saving. Yeah. So we completed one. Same. Well, that's the universal language for fill up the data. Last step. Exporting the data the schema and the data. Well, before we do that, views and then exports. So open up views. You'll see no views currently. Right click on views, say new, and listen up to the question. Show me the coffee names and prices and requests that Pelopidas ordered. Show me all coffees, names, prices, and requests that Pelopidas ordered. We need all three of them. But if you don't need all three of them, you add only the ones that you need. I'm talking when it's 3, basically you need all of them. When you have 5, 7, 9, sometimes you don't need all 9 of them. Click add, click close. By the way, for the assignment, it is compulsory that you have at least 3 tables in your database. That's it, at least 3. Don't give me less than 3. Since we have shown an example with 3, I want 3 or more. Right, number 1, we select what we want to output. So we said the coffee name, tick, the coffee price, the request, which is in another table. And then you think about the filter, which is the name. It has to be Pelopidas, equals Pelopidas. For the exam, if you write ID equals 1, you will lose points because I don't know what the idea of Pelopidas is. I only know Pelopidas. You are the admins, you know, but the user is not. I want that customer name. I only know the name. You right click and you say execute SQL, and it's Frappe only. We should see 2 of them. I see a mistake here. I don't know why. Customers and coffee should not be connected. Mine is connected. Anybody else got this error? So click on this relationship and right click and say remove. So we only want them to be connected via orders. So right click and execute SQL and you will see now the correct data. Maybe I rushed it and I did something wrong. Now, alias is what the column title should be. So we don't want to have X1. We want to assign customer. Well, small letters in order to be same with any of the other ones. Right click again, execute, you see customer now. We save this as view1, view underscore 1. Right, next one. Show me all customer names and birthdays that ordered Frappe. All customer names and birthdays that ordered Frappe. Ναι, Grigori, σωστό. Δεν το κάναμε κοινό. Well, it started from 10 because I failed the first one. I demonstrated using 10, that's why I lost the position of 10. And I also lost the position of 30 here. This is called fragmentation, and fragmentation, it's something that relates to databases. I don't have the time to explain it now. So right click on views, new view, we add all 3 tables, and you think about what the output should be. So we want the customer name, the customer birthday, and we want the, for the filter. So coffee's name, but now you take it away from the output. because that should be the filter. We don't want to show it in the output. So we're going to go to filter equals Frappe. Once you type the word, you click enter, the single quotes are added automatically. You do not add them. That's I got this relationship once again. I have to delete it manually. I don't know. I did something wrong. I have to delete this manually every time. So right click remove. They should be connected only via orders. It's only Pelopidas? No, it's correct. The proof is in the data. So Frappe is number 1, there you are. If we change it to number 5, which is Freddo Cappuccino, there you are. You said you're gonna get two answers now because we have two customers ordering that coffee. Let's do two more. Save this as view 2. If they are not showing, right click and say refresh. You'll see them. Now the next one is show me the customer name and the requests of all customers that purchase coffees more than €2. Customer names and customer requests that purchase coffees more than €2. We don't want to see the price. So right click on views, new view, all 3 of them once again. Let me delete this annoying. So customer names here, request is on another table, and then the price on the 3rd table. Look how beautiful that is. You just click, different tables all added in the same view. And this is the SQL query created for us. We're gonna take out the price, and what should be the filter? It's a number, therefore more than 2. We don't need to actually say 2.0. You could add it, but it's a number. It doesn't affect the decimal places. Do you get 4 of them? With the request. If we were to say between 150 and €2, between 150 and €2, how would I add it here? Greater or equal than 150 and less or equal than 2.00. Once you click enter, you don't get the codes because these are not, it's not text, it's numbers. Now we get 2 of them. Is this correct? Pelopidas and Aftaxerxes. And that is because they ordered, let's see, which coffee is between that range. The Freddo Espresso at number 7. So we have Freddo Espresso here, and the Frappe as well, because I included 2.0. So number 1 and number 7. I only have 2 orders, 1 and 3. There you are. Last one, save it as view 3, and we want to see all the coffee, name of the customer, name of the coffee, and price of the coffee of all people that they were born in after 1990. Customer name, coffee price of people that they were born, let's say in the 90s, so in 1990, only that year, just to see the range. So how do we do that? We create a new view. We add all 3 tables. If we have the connecting there, we get rid of it. And we want customer name, bam, coffee name, bam, and coffee price, bam. But now we also need the birthday because it will be in the filter. We take away from the output. You come here in the filter, you have to say, what's the first day of the year of 1990? So it has to be greater or equal than 1990 dash 01, which is the month, dash 01, which is the day, and less or equal than the last day of the year, 1990 dash 12 dash 31. Now you will get the codes, and you will see that it's turning them into slashes instead of dash. And we should be getting only Pelopidas' orders because he's the only one that is born in the 90. Well, in 1990. Do we agree? One more thing I want to show you before we go ahead and export it. Let's save it. Close view 4, close view 3, open them back again. Because I want to show you that once you open it up, right click on view 3, say design, you will see that it has changed it a little bit to include two rows instead of one. This is because we use and. If you were to use or, this would be added here instead of a new row. And same thing with view number 4. If you open it up in design, you will see that it has split it into 2 rows. That's okay. Everybody's good. It's a little bit faster than last time because if number 1 is recorded, number 2, we've done it before. So let's finish it by exporting it, and we're going to have a small break before we move on to part number 2. Number 1, everything. Right click and say close all documents. You have to do that in case you have anything unsaved to let you know. Right click on the database name. Script database, no. Tasks, generate scripts. You have to do this for the assignment because I'm asking you to give me your SQL file so I can recreate it on my part. You also have to do this for the final exam. Click next. Over here, you select what you want to export. Of course, we want everything, but it could be the case that we only want coffee and we only want view 1. If I was to export this for a certain user. Now, for me, I want you to export everything. Click next. This is the most important step. Do not mess it up. You will get 0. If I don't see it, I cannot give you marks. Click advanced, come a little bit further down, and don't forget to change the setting types of data to script from schema only to schema and data. I will not sit and write data for you. I'm not going to spend my time to add the data. I don't see data, I would say comment, you haven't added any data, 0 on that part, not the whole assignment. It's a simple check. Click OK, save it as script. We click the browse so we can save it somewhere where we can find it later on. I will save on my USB. Let's call it coffee underscore shop underscore DB. And as you can see, the type is SQL. Moving on next, this is the summary. Moving on next, if you got all of them correct, you will see all greens. If you got something wrong, you will get all reds, or one of them will be red. You get 1 for every table, you get 1 for every view. Click finish. and it's done. We find the SQL file where you saved it. It's only kilobytes, not long. It's a whole database though. Let's prove it. Come to Database Management Studio, right-click on Coffee Store and say delete. We're gonna throw it away. Click here, close existing connections, and delete it. It's gone, right? Pick it up from the folder, drag and drop it inside Management Studio, or if you don't like this cool option, you can go with the boring option, File, Open. And the only thing you need to do, by the way, look at that. This is the name of the database. Some restrictions there. This is the customers table. This is the coffees table, the orders table. Over here you have the relationships. No, sorry, these are the views. These are the views. The relationships are listed somewhere. This is view 3, view 4. These are the data. There you are. These are the restrictions. Over here. Foreign key, foreign key. Let's see. So all you need to do is click execute. Bam. If by any chance you get an error, what you have to do, by the way, right click on databases, refresh. There's the table. There's the coffee shop, coffee store. Inside the tables, there's my tables. These are my views. And if you open a table in top 200 rows, you will see the data as well. This is a verification you need to do as well before you submit, just to make sure your SQL file is correct. If it's have an error, then right-click on databases. First of all, see what the database name is. Right-click on databases, new database, create it, just write the name, click OK, and then execute the code. So once you have it created, it will run the code and fill it up. But you should not have to do that. You should be able to create it on its own. All right, that's the end of the first part. It's 4:10. Let's have a 20 minutes break, 15. 4:25, we continue with the second part. Whereas I will upload it. Now, views we don't need them. We need the tables. Θα το ανεβάσω πάνω τώρα στο παντελήσι και άνιστο, φορτώνιστο για να πράγαμε στο δεύτερο βήμα. Ναι. Θα προλάβεις. Άλεξο, να το ανεβάσω πάνω, πήγαινε στο Blackboard. Ένα λεπτό να το ανεβάσω πάνω για όποιον συνόρθω. Άρα, τούτο είναι το first part, goes here. Ναι. Είναι μαθήμα που πέχανες Παντελή τούτα. Absolutely not. Δεν το βάζει στο εμβόλιο, την μέρα του μαθήματος. Εντάξει, απλά λέω σου ότι this is like a very, very important. Λοιπόν, έχω το δάμε τούτο, να κάνουμε το submission box. Και απλά λέω σου, ανησυχώ για σένα άμα χάσεις το μάθημα, ή οποιοδήποτε. Είναι κάτι που να διαβάσεις βιβλίο και να το δεις. Ναι. Ήταν με άλλο παράδειγμα, τώρα βλέπουμε το δεύτερη φορά και επεκτείνουμε. Και τώρα κάνουμε το record. Οπότε πρέπει να δεις ξανά το recording. Όχι, όχι, τώρα κάνω.
That's another data sheet. I give you my car, I can give you my money to this.
So, μια δεκάτο, ok, το είναι έτοιμο. Ωραία, πάνω. All right, let's continue, everybody.
Did you upload it?
No, I uploaded the database. If you use the process that we demonstrated, you can recreate it in order to use it for the step number 2. Next time, I'm going to also show you how you can use Management Studio for testing your queries. Select, insert, update, and delete. So you can set your queries here in case you have a problem with your application and you don't see the data and you say, but I did correctly, I don't know why. You can come and test your queries in Management Studio. And if it's working, you copy that SQL query inside the application, and then you're okay. You know that the problem is somewhere else. All right, so next week we're going to do this new query. For now, we leave it as it is. We go to Visual Studio, create a new project. We want a Windows Forms app.NET Framework, C# as always. Let's call it Coffee Shop _app. Save it somewhere where you can find it later on. Click Create. And let's go. We need 4 forms. 1 for select, 1 for insert, 1 for update, and 1 for delete. As always, I will demonstrate with only 1 table. As you can understand, if you have more than 1 tables, then the appropriate interfaces for adding a new customer, a new coffee, a new order must be present in your assignment. So there should be a way for me to add a new customer if you do a coffee shop. Well, don't do a coffee shop, we demonstrate it here. A new way to add a new coffee, a new way to add a new order. So we're only demonstrating for 1 table here. Assignment, you have to give me options to do all of them. So, the first one, let's change the title. It's going to be select query. Right click on the root node, click add, new item, we want a new form. We're going to leave it as form number 2. Let's change the title as well, insert query. Let's do the same. Form Windows Forms. The title is update query. And finally, delete query. It doesn't mean you need 4 forms. You can do it using 1. You need 3 different buttons, insert, update, delete. You do not need 4 different forms. But if you want to have different forms, that's okay with me. I'm separating it so that maybe it's easier to go to that specific one when you revise. Update form. Sorry, update query. Grigori, why? You select the form, ci vai form 1 and find the text, not the name, the text. Maybe you are changing the name. So number 1, for form number 1, let's show all 3 tables. We use the toolbox You go to View, open up Toolbox if it's not currently on, and we select the Data Grid View. So drag and drop it inside the form. Choose Data Source. We expand it. We say Add Project Data Source. It's a database. You see the same screen as mine? It's a data set that we will display. Over here, we don't have the connection yet. If we drop it down, we will see our previous connections. Probably you'll see the AUC, right? Because nobody was sitting at that place last time. But don't worry, everybody click New Connection. Over here, do not click this to drop it down. It will take forever and then it will fail. It will not find it. Even if it does, if you do it at home, it will not be set up correctly. So leave it as it is. Come to your Management Studio, click Connect here in the Object Explorer, Database Engine, and pick up your server name. Copy it. Connect, Database Engine, server name, copy. You can click Connect, so because we will test it. You come here, you right click, you paste it, and once you do that, this is enabled. And once you drop this down, you will see all of our databases. So we connected to the database server, and now we have to select Coffee Store, which is the database we created just in the first part. Test connection, it should be succeeded. Yeah? Click OK, click OK, it's been added, and now we can continue. We're gonna save it as that, no, nothing to change there. We can continue and define what we want to show in that data grid view. So for the first one, let's show the coffees. If you click on the coffees there, you will include all of their columns. If you want, you can exclude, for example, the primary key. I will leave all of them now. Click Finish.
From one can choose the database.
It was
After we add
the server name.
yes.
Below it's enabled, and you select the database. I will demonstrate again Kali now with the second one. So this needs to be increased so that you get the appropriate space for the columns to be shown. Let's add one more. Data grid view. Let's add it next to it. So we click on choose data source. This is your second chance. Go to other data source, add project data source. So if you want to populate the same one, there it is. But we don't want to have the same ones. So add project data source. Database. Data set. Now it's the same connection. Coffee store, same connection on the same database. Next, you get the tables, you get the views. So let's add the first view. You click on the first view, and all of the columns are going to be added.
For the first one, we choose the first one.
Coffees. Click Finish. So now you get a data grid view that displays the view. We need to make sure the form has the correct width to show all of this, and the appropriate height Don't worry if we get more than this height, a scroll view will be added. Let's test it. Run it. Tell me if you see the coffees and the view shown in your first form. There you are. I need to increase a little bit. I think this is because when I'm running it, I have it on scale, that's why. So I need to increase this a little bit. I need to increase this also a little bit. So if I run it again, there you are. I can see my coffees and I can see my results of U1. Did it work? Oh, that's maybe the view. That gotcha is recorded. We need the coffees table. If the coffees table is shown, the view now is not important. Right, let's add a button to go to the next. I'm going to add it here. It would say next, and it would lead us to the second form. Double click on it, you know what to do. Add a fifth form, so I don't forget, please right click on the root node, add a fifth form. I'll show you something else today. And then text of this form is select specific query. The previous one was select all, now it will be select something specific. So I will also demonstrate this one, which I haven't shown you last week. Let's move on to form number 2. Right, we need a label, and it will say add new coffee. It's a good idea to increase the size a little bit, so let's go to 16 and also have it bold. I'm changing these properties from font. In order for us to add a new coffee, we need 2 fields, one for the name and one for the price. The ID is auto increment. Therefore, I need another label, coffee name, and I need a coffee price. For the purposes of this, we're going to use a text box. One for coffee name, one for coffee price. This will be sent using a button. Since we're doing a little bit of design here, the button should take, let me align it on the left. It's also aligned on the left. So the button, the width takes the whole from the left to the right of the content. The button should say add coffee. And of course, an insert query will be executed. Let's add the two buttons to go next and back so we don't forget about them. The next, we already have it, so I'm going to copy this one into my second form. Double click to take us to form number 3. And I'm going to copy next and paste it here so that we go back to previous form. Now, the speed that we are working now, this is what you should be requested to do in the final exam. It will be an intensive one. I would like to remind you that there is a consent to have the exam here. If it's at home, it will be much more difficult because it will be open notes. If it's going to be here, I will create it appropriately. Let's change a little bit the size of the form. I think that's about it. And when you're ready, let's write the important part of this form. We have to have in system, Arestis, Ochos, Viajes, Viajes. Right, double click on the add coffee button, and we need 4 steps. Step 1, connect to the database server. Step 2, connect to the database server and the database. It's one connection string, connects to the server and the database. Create the query. In this case, it's an insert query. Step 3, create the command using the query and the connection. In step number 4, execute the command. That's it. For the assignment and for the exam, I need to see these 4 steps. If you want to write the comment, that's fine. If you don't write the comments, I don't mind, but they have to be in the code. Once you graduate, you can do whatever you want. For my course, I need to see that you can apply the 4 steps clearly. You will be applying them anyway when you graduate, but they can be combined. You don't need to actually have these 4 steps separately. Number 1, SQL connection con equals new SQL connection, open the brackets, quotes, and then the semicolon. Now it complains if you put add the mouse on top of the error and you say Alt Enter, you're going to get a suggestion, which is to add this import using system.data.sql client. You click on it, and the error message goes away, and it goes away because we added this command in the import statements. If you don't see the suggestion, then you have to write it by yourselves. Now this is important. Each one of us has a different SQL connection string. Επειδή έκανα το δεν μπορώ να το ξαναδείξω, πατά Alt Enter πάνω του. Πάρ' το mouse πάνω του, Alt Enter. Alt Enter. Το πρώτο. Επειδή προσθέσα δεν μπορώ να το. Εντάξει. Έφυγε το λάθος. Ορίστε. Αν πάει και λαθασμένο γραμμένο, Παντελή. Alt Enter, το πρώτο. Θα πει, είδαμε, μήπως έχεις μικρό C ή κάποιον spelling mistake. Πρέπει να γραμμένο λάθος. Λαθασμένο, ναι. Πρέπει να είναι τούτο. Λοιπόν, inside the quotes, we need to add our connection string. How do we find it? Click on View, go to Server Explorer. Over here, you will see all your database connections. Probably you see your EUCDB from last time. Yeah? And now you see your coffee store as well. If it has an X on it, right click and say refresh and it will connect. And as you have it selected, over here in the properties, connection string is right here. Double click on the value, right click and copy it. Do not mess this up. You add it inside the quotes, paste. If you have any escape characters, for example, the backslash, you have to say, I want the backslash to be included, and you do that by adding a backslash before the escape character. So in this case, for my case, I have to add another backslash, but this one is considered as a valid character. Step 1 completed. Database, server, that's the one, and database, that's the one there. We are connected. Παντελή, δεν κόφηκες, έχουμε πολλά να κάνουμε. View, Server Explorer. Πατάς πας στο Coffee Store, έρχεσαι στο Properties, double click πάνω, δεξί κλικ πάνω στο συγκεκριμένο Properties. Until you have to go on, it's recorded, you can watch it later on. Server Explorer. What? Data connections, database. Double click, στο διαστό, data connections. Εντάξει, πάρ' το μέσα στα codes τσάμε. Step 2, create the insert query. Now, this is going to be dynamic. I would like to point out, since this is recorded, what I'm showing you is not the professional way. It is the Bacalissimo's way. It's not suggested that you use the template that I'm going to demonstrate, but it's a second year course. We need to learn how to use this before we learn how to use the parameterized query. I suggest, if anybody wants to have a look, it's parameterized queries, which I teach in CSW 441. CSW 441, anybody wants to take that one, we will be learning about parameterized queries. This is the correct way to execute an in-application, a query inside the application. But for us, it's okay to use what we are going to do now. String, query equals, and it's going to be an insert into coffees. This is the template of an insert query. You're supposed to know this one from your database course. If not, this is the template. Values, and we open and close the brackets, a semicolon for the query, and then a semicolon for the command. Now, inside here, we need to say, go to the form and pick up the value of text box 1 for the name, pick up the value of text box 2 for the price. So you do this. You have single quote, double quote, plus text box 1 dot text, and then you have to work in reverse. So plus, double, single, comma. We have to add one more. Single, double, plus text box 2 dot text, and then you go in reverse, plus double, single. We don't need anything else because that is we only have two values. Now, we don't need this double quote there because we have it here at the end. This is a preparation of the query. It's not the actual query, it's a string. When we execute it, it will become a query. See, this is very dangerous. Somebody can perform an SQL injection in our application and add there whatever they want. So we need to avoid that, and we are avoiding that by specifying some rules, parameters in the query. Step number 3, create the command. This is SQL command. Command is the name of the object. New SQL command, and in the brackets we are saying query, and then the connection are the two parameters. So now that we have the command, we can execute it on our database server. Because things may go wrong, it's a very sensitive thing to connect to a database and a database server and perform an insert query. We do a try catch always, so we don't get a crash. And we catch it using the exception, which is the highest class of capturing any exception that we have. Step number 1 in the try block, we open the connection. Step last in the try block, we close the connection. It will be minus 38 points if you forget to close the connection. No objection? Very good. It's that important. And what do we do first if an exception is thrown? Number 1, you close the connection. And then you do whatever else you want to do. I will be checking if you have these 3 statements in your code: assignment and exam. Now, if the connection is open and we don't crash with regards to privileges, we will execute the command dot execute non-query, which means execute the query and I don't want any report back sent back to me. Therefore, you don't see saying string report equals. I don't do that because it doesn't return anything back. What query is it going to execute? This one. Where is it going to execute it? There. And just for us, a message box dot show insert successful. So that we know that it went through. If we pass this step and we see the message box, that means we didn't crash. If we do crash, a message for us, insert failed, capital letters. All right, let's go. Let's test it out. Run it. Number one, the data grid view in Form 1 will give us the current state of the database. So I have 1, 2, 5, 7. I have only 4 coffees. Once I move on to my next, if I add, for example, a test and it's 230, insert successful, do not believe it. Once I go back, it should be shown in my data grid view. Also, if I go to my database and I open up my coffees, edit top 200 rows, I should also see the row added there. That means it was successful. If it fails, that means you missed something. It's okay. Proceed and see the recording later on. Form number 3. Pick up form number 2. Everything. So highlight everything. Right click and copy. We go to form number 3. Right click and paste. So we have everything exactly as said before, and let's change what we see. So instead of add, it will be update, not new, existing coffee. Our next will lead to form number 4. And back, we go back to form number 1 so that we see the data grid view and verify if it was updated or not. We could, if we want, use text boxes, but that would be a mistake, meaning we don't want users to have to write the coffee name in order to update the price. It doesn't make sense. No. So coffee name, delete the text boxes, both of them, and view, open up the toolbox if you closed it. I want you to find a combo box and drag it for the coffee name, next to coffee name. So what we'll do here is to display the existing coffees, because if you want to update, you cannot create a new one. And then for the coffee prices, let's use radio buttons. Radio button 1, it will be the price of 2 euros. Radio button 2 will be 2.25, and a third one 2.50. So that we see the option of radio buttons in this example. Of course, realistically speaking, we are not going to have radio buttons, maybe, I don't know, a text box for them to write what price should we charge. In our case, we will use this. And then, as Coach just said, instead of up, we will say update. All right, my interface is now ready. First, let's display the coffees. You click on the combo box, you click on this arrow. We are not going to use edit items as we have done before the midterm. Now we want bound items. That means click on them, something that is connected to our database. And we have the data source connected already. Data source, I mean, we have it created already. Drop it down, expand it, expand the project, and we're looking for the coffee store data set. Let's see, the other one, if I show you, the other one, it's the view. So you don't want to add the view. You want to add the first one, which is the coffees. Now, for display member, we will show the coffee names. But in the background, every selection, the value will be the ID, which now is the primary key. So you select Frappé, but we record 1. You select Freddo Espresso, we record 3, 5, whatever. This is good programming. Nothing for selected value. That means we're not going to see anything. They need to actually select something. Nothing default selected. And by the way, we have radio button. The names is 1, radio button 2, and radio button 3. Let's see, make sure they are in the same order. Double click on the button and let us go step 1, step 2, step 3, and step 4. I'm not going to repeat the steps in writing. I will repeat them verbally. So step number 1 is to connect to our database server and database. Let me show you once again. SQL connection con equals new SQL connection, open the brackets, double quotes, add the semicolon. SQL connection requires an alt enter, and the first import will fix the compiling error. Between the quotes, we need to add the connection string. We go to View, Server Explorer, we find our data connection, and from the properties, double click and pick up the connection string. Or somebody can copy paste it from the previous form. The first one is the most important one. And we're going to add the backslash if you need it, where you have escape characters. Step number 2, create the query. This is definitely different. And it is update coffees. We assume that coffees is the name of the table. Actually, we do not do anything we want. We have to match with the table name and the column names. Update coffees set price equals to we don't have it ready yet, so leave it there. Come here and say string price equals 0, and also string name equals empty string. No, sorry, it should be double actually, double. No. Just to, we don't actually need it. Let's see, add a string and say quotes 0. Let me show you how effective it is. It will be converted in the source. The SQL server will convert it into a double. See, let's first address the price. If radio button 1 is selected, checked, that means the price should be 2.00 as a string. You could use double if you want to. That's absolutely correct. Else, if radio button 2 is selected, checked, our price will be 225. Else if you don't use an else if in radio buttons, you will be losing marks. Only one of it can be executed at any time. Price equals 250. So now I can come in here and say, in my update query, single quote, double quote, plus price, plus double single. The user will define the new price, where ID equals I'm going to say name. Why do we say name here? We don't need this. Delete this. We don't need it because we're going to go straight and say where ID equals single double plus combo box dot selected value, and then plus double single. Don't forget the semicolon for the query and the semicolon for the command. See, so I did it directly. I could have done it, stored it first in a string and then used it. Now, there you are, the full update query. If you don't add the semicolon, it will still work. I will penalize you though. It works because SQL Server fixes it. If you use another server, it will not accept it. So it needs to be a habit to add the semicolon there. Now, price is a string. Let's see if it will work. In our database, it's a double, a numeric 3.2. Interesting, huh? So this is the update query. Step number 3, we create the command. Using the query and the connection. And step number 4, we execute the command and handle any exceptions. Try, catch. First thing in the try, open the connection. Last thing in the try, close the connection. First thing in the catch, close the connection. It has to be a habit. Same thing as before, it's command, execute non-query. You use these methods when you apply insert, update, and delete because you affect the database. You apply changes to it. We will be using something different in form number 5. Message box dot show update successful. Otherwise, update failed in our catch. Let's see. By the way, here, what we can also do once we close the connection is say form 1 and then. So we have the automatic redirection to it. We don't need to actually click the button, go back. No. So this one will be shown. I think you have to click OK to proceed. goodness, I shouldn't have shown you this so I can use it for the exam. Anyway, I'll find something else.
For some reason, for me, it sets the price to 0.
Let's see, well, make sure you select the radio button.
I select it.
That's the only button. We go next. By the way, it's test is 230. I'm gonna change that one. Here, so I'll pick test. I'm gonna say 250, update coffee, update successful, click OK, redirection, 250. No, it works. If you don't select the radio button, then it will be set to 0. Yeah.
The query string query.
1 minute, and we go on to delete. You can watch the recording if you miss something. Johannes is working. Cochos, Arestis. All right.
I have
On the
the
list.
same,
Right.
I have the same code for the checkboxes as you, but
Radio buttons, not check.
radio button. But
And maybe
haven't select them.
then it's not the same one. You are something you missed. By the way, see string, but it updates it. Huh? Interesting. As long as the format matches, it will convert it for us. That's very, very convenient. Right, moving on. Delete is irrelevant, it's autonomous. So you miss something in insert update, leave it, go to the next one. We can see it afterwards. Let's go to form number 3, pick up all this. So we don't need to redesign it. Let's go to form number 4, paste it, and let's change it. So number 1, the label should say delete existing coffee. If anybody is not following me, it's okay now, but please make sure you actually do it by yourselves. Otherwise, I promise you in the exam, you will mess up. If you just watch this and say, okay, I understand what I have to do, if you do not actually do it, you will not be able to do it at the time of the pressure. We're only going to delete based on coffee, so I want you to all these delete them. The button should change to delete, and for this one we're going to use a list box. Back, we don't need it. We're going to use the redirection. Next we do to go to form number 5. Open up your toolbox, find list box, drag and drop. All these that I'm showing you, they are compulsory in the checklist. No. So what we're going to do here is to populate all the coffees. Once again, coffee names, but behind the scene, coffee values, IDs. We click on this arrow there, we go to use data bound items, data source. We have one already selected, expand, expand, expand coffees. If you want to use a different table, then you go click this one, add project data source. From there, we want to display the coffee names and we want to store the coffee's IDs. Double click on the button, Let's go. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. In order to save some time, just go to form number 3 and step 1, we copy it. It's exactly the same. You do need to add the I'll enter the appropriate import so that the error goes away. Step number 2 is the query. It's a delete query. Delete from coffees where ID equals let's go. Single quote, double quote, plus it's list box 1 dot selected value. Selected item is it's going to be the coffee name. Selected value is going to be the coffee's IDs plus double single semicolon. These are the queries that I'm going to show you next week how to test them in Management Studio in case they do not work, so that you know it's not your query. If it doesn't work, number 1, you should check your query. Number 2, something from the rest of the code. Now, create a command here. Using the query and the connection. And let us execute it in step number 4. Same rules. So as you can see, you have only one thing to remember, and it's applied for insert, update, and delete. Execute non-query. Let's do the redirection as well. Otherwise, you close the connection and a little information for us. Here, I want to show you that if you want, you can say EX, which is the name of the exception, the object of exception object, dot, you get message, toString, stack trace, that will help you identify what went wrong in case something goes wrong. It's very useful. Let's see. By the way, if you try to delete something that you are not allowed, like Frappe, you will see that the reason is that there is a constraint, a reference constraint. That's the relationship we created. There are orders on Frappe. We cannot delete it as a coffee. We delete test. Redirection is not longer there. These 4 basic operations are compulsory for the assignment and the exam. Now we're going to do a last one, something you may find useful for your assignment. Then what happens with the queries, Khalid? All of this is the result of getting tired. That's why you need to do it again and again, because in the exam, I will push you. I will push you to get tired, and then you're gonna have the challenge. Yeah. So display member is the name. So this is when you start thinking, I'm tired, can I think straight? In the first 10 minutes, half an hour, you're all alert. After 1 hour of coding, 1.5 hours of coding, this is where I'll get you. And you're only gonna get prepared if you write it and write it and write it again. It's like you know that 100-meter sprinter, they may break the world record in when they train 10 times. It's when you go to the Olympics and it's time for the actual pressure, you have to perform. And officially, they break the world records many times in their training. So, last thing, go on to form number 5. And here I want, please, let's have toolbox. I will use once again a combo box. Actually, no, list box. It's better to see all of the list box. We click on that arrow, use data bound items, data source is the same, coffees, display member is name, value member is ID. I want a button below, please. So once we select something, we want to see show coffee price. So based on the selected coffee, we will display the coffee price. We're not going to do it using a message box. Let's add a label right there. We are going to remove the text, just make sure it's aligned. Yeah, and take away the text. It's there, but we will access it at runtime. Let's leave some space for it to be shown, expanded and shown. Right, double click on the button once again. Last time for today, stay with me. Pick up the connection string from step 1 of the previous forms, so we don't need to rewrite it. Just add the appropriate import. So the query now is select price from coffees where ID equals single double plus list box 1 dot selected value. This is the code that turns it into a string. the single quote. The double quote breaks the string, so I can append to it the actual value, which is a number. So I need the single quote, so they converted it to string value. All right. Step number 3, create the command. Using the query, using the connection. If you have to bring more than one value from a table, do not say here select price, order, blah, 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 because then you have to treat it as an array. I suggest you have query 1, and then you have query 2, and you bring the second thing that you want. That's it. As much as it will be much easier.
We are doing SQL command.
Yeah, you execute the command 1, you execute the command 2, you create 2 commands. Trust me, it will be much easier. Try catch. Command.execute non-query. So this would be command 1 execute non-query, command 2 execute non-query. But now, I'm sorry, sorry, now we have something to receive. We're not going to say execute non-query. Sorry, my bad. We will say execute scalar. So to string. Yeah. You need the empty brackets. And this is going to be returning something, therefore we need to accept it. It's the price. But it's going to come back as a string because we say to string. And now I could say label1.text, the coffee price is, and append the price. So if you execute and you return more than one thing, this should be now an array and for loop and so on. It's not difficult, but why should you get into this trouble? Execute 2 commands, execute 2 scalars, pick them up, local strings, and then use them anywhere you want. Make sense? Alert for final exam. No message box this time. We will see if it worked or not. We need a label1.text something went wrong. So if we see that, it means we are in the exception phase, in the catch phase. Let's see. I don't know, because we stop there, the application stops there. So Frappé is €2, Ice Latte 250, Freddo Cappuccino 225, Freddo Espresso 175. It's working. I don't need that much of a width. I'm gonna reduce it a little bit. Something about that. Next thing, so this 5th form, we see it so that you can retrieve data from the database, not the whole data grid view. This is select all. Select a specific thing. for you to use it in your application. Now, the only thing I have to show you is to test your queries here and test some complicated queries. Like these ones are easy queries. Maybe you're not going to use complicated queries for the assignment. You will need to use them for the exam. So next time, this one is a very easy one. I'm talking about queries that combine more than one table. So we will see that option here before we use them in our application. Any questions? Who managed to complete all of it? The second part. Nobody?
For me, only that it's
Johannes? All of it? So not all of it.
It's just
That's 99%. Johannes 100. Yeah? Ivan?
99.
99. Arestis?
15.
15 or 50? 1 5. Ne? Pandeli? So how much? Kado? Very good. Khalil?
99.
99. And people at home?
Middle black sheep.
And how much people at home saying here, Andrea, what? 1 5 as Arestis?
No black sheep.
100. All right, so the recording, I will publish it on Blackboard so you can watch it back. I think this will be very helpful for your assignment and your exam. Next week, we have one more lecture, which is relating to the exam. I don't think you need it for the assignment, but it may help you. And on the 23rd, you submit. One more time, I want to point out that this is changed. You should not email your submission. I will update this one. You should upload your submission on Blackboard. I have checked it and it accepts.
Was it like 23rd or 24th?
No, 23rd, 23rd, 24 is the other one.
Okay.
23rd midnight, you submit here. Right, for now, upload your work here, your application. You don't need to submit your SQL, just the application. Thank you very much. I will now stop the recording and I will see you again next time.